In this video, we're going to go back to a tactics video. Something I wasn't sure I was going to get any done in this month. We're going to be using a diversion in an ambush. Now, the consideration for this. Soldiers, by and large, concentrate on the source of fire and lose awareness of what else is happening around them. They end up with severe tunnel vision. I have seen this myself during many a pre-deployment training exercise and just exercises in general. When an ambush occurs, everybody focuses in the direction that the ambush is coming from. They lose all awareness of what else is going on around them, what's going on behind them, what is happening to their right and left. This is something that the insurgents in Iraq exploited, and they did it with devastating consequences. They would put fire on one side using rifles and machine guns, and then on the other side of the convoy, the other side of the road, they would have people with RPGs. And when the gunners and everyone was concentrating on the right side of the road, the left side of the road, those people pop up out of their holes or wherever they are hidden with the RPGs, fire them right into the backs or right into the sides of the vehicles, killing everyone inside. Now, for this, I have here 4 phases. Now, in phase 1, we have in place a roadblock. We're trying to stop the enemy inside the kill zone. Now, this roadblock could be built earlier. If you're building it earlier, put it around a bend in a blind spot on the road that the enemy's not going to catch it till almost the last second. If you are using explosive means like putting in a crater or possibly just an IED, but I recommend whatever you put in here, make sure to heavily damage the road so the enemy can't just drive right through. That was a tactic that was developed in Iraq. If the IED went off, no one got injured, you just stomped on the gas and you went through, got out of the kill zone. So you want to create some type of obstacle up here. Now, when you blow the crater and that stuff, or blow the tree, whatever it is, you want to make it look like you screwed up. The IED went off too soon. You're trying to cause chaos and confusion. You're trying to keep them from getting a good assessment of situation as to what the hell's going on. Make them think you're just a bunch of dumb rednecks, who screwed up. You haven't been in combat before. Make them underestimate your capabilities. Now, right after that happens and they stop, not long, you open fire from a machine gun position up around here. Now, it could be a squad automatic weapon, it could be an M240, a PKM, whatever you have. Now, this gunner, he needs to concentrate his fire on the machine gunners on top of the vehicles, because they're going to automatically turn their fire right to him. You want the enemy to concentrate on that gunner. So his position up here must be heavily built, must have great cover, not just concealment, great cover. It must protect at a minimum against 12.7 millimeter or 50 caliber machine gun fire. Concentrated heavy machine gun fire, because they're going to be pouring all their rounds in there. So you're probably going to be thinking about putting in digging a position down, fronting it with some pretty thick logs, maybe about 10 inches in diameter, then piling some big rocks and little rocks in front of that, dumping a bunch of dirt over that, putting some more heavy logs in front of that, and then more dirt in front of that. And then don't forget to give yourself just a little bit of overhead cover to the front also, in case they start popping in, say, 40 millimeter or 30 millimeter rounds from an automatic grenade launcher. That position is going to be taking heavy fire, and you want it to. You're trying to draw all attention over here. Or maybe you'll spread out a few people up in here, a small fire team. I wouldn't put in a full squad, because these people are probably going to take some casualties. But they need to keep up that fire as much as possible, trying to get the rounds in on the gunners. They're trying to cause chaos. They're trying to create that diversion. Now, phase 3, you have your flanking fire. This should primarily be riflemen with scopes on their rifles. So it could be, you know, your 30-06 deer hunting rifle. It could be a captured M4 with an ACOG on top. It could be whatever. But when these guys open up, they need to try taking out the gunners. That's their concentration of fire also. And they need to be doing semi-automatic fire. They need to be doing slow fire. Pick their shots carefully. Need to sit down here a little bit. Okay. Now, the shots that they're firing must also be high. You do not want to be firing down and onto the ground and skipping off the ground. And there's a good reason for that. Now, if possible, you're going to have these guys so confused, they're not going to realize rounds are coming in from this side because you're coming in just single rounds, taking off the gunner or whatever. Maybe you can get the people inside these vehicles to dismount. To dismount, come off to the side here where there's no fire coming from, so that maybe they're going to try flanking. If that happens, you should have some people hidden over here, and they should have some really good cover over here too, in case there is a round that skips over or misses. That's why I said you want the fire from here to go high. But you'll have people hidden down over here in positions with some good cover. They're observing. If you get the troops coming out the back, they're starting to move around the side of the vehicles. These guys over here open up and they pour in massed fire into those guys to put them all down as fast as possible. Maybe they'll toss in a grenade. Maybe they'll set off some claymores, whatever they got set up. Now, it's also possible that you could do the thing of the people over here have some type of light anti-tank weapon and they fire it into the sides of the vehicles. But what we're going to try to do in this ambush, we're going to try capturing everything we possibly can inside these vehicles. You want all the ammunition, you want the weapons, you want the radios, you want the rations, you want the gear, whatever they have in there. I don't care even if it's a bag of tools. You're trying to capture whatever you can. Now, if they don't deploy, the people that are over here, they move forward and they come in using these vehicles as cover from any fire that's coming in from your people over here. So they're coming up and alongside. And then they'll move in around the backs. And they'll try to do this as quickly as possible. At this point, you're probably going to be getting noticed by the drivers and stuff in the vehicle. So at this point, it has to go fast. If possible, now on MRAPs, they have locks on the doors, combat locks. But on the outside, you have a little keyhole on it. And the key is universal for that series of vehicle. It's not different for each vehicle. It's the same for each one. So all of the Humvees use one style of key. All of the RG31s, you know, each particular model probably has their own style of key. So that if the crew inside is knocked out, someone has to get in to provide first aid. Someone can come in with that key, unlock that back door, get inside and provide that first aid. Now those keys typically will be kept inside the vehicle. They do not leave them in the holders on the outside. I've also been told that maintenance teams and some medics will carry those keys with them also. Now what you can do if you do not have those keys, you knock out an MRAP, you try to copy it as best you can. Hold up that piece of paper, trace it out. Find out what the depth of the key is, what the size, the shape, all of that is. That's required. These keys are essentially almost like a Allen wrench type thing. It's not your standard lock like you see on a car, on a house, or anything like that. Now, those keys could be duplicated. You get that information to someone that's a metal worker that works inside a blacksmith or works inside a metal shop. They can probably duplicate some of those keys for you. Get one made first, maybe two, try them out, make sure it works, and then if it does work, get them mass produced and get them out. Now, barring that, you could try what's called a limpet mine. This is a magnetic, hollow or shaped charge. There's a reason why they used to have anti-magnetic glazing on tanks and armored vehicles, but that seems to have been forgotten. It has not been put on current military vehicles. They're leaving it off. It's considered an unnecessary item, and that will bite them in the butt if a guerrilla war breaks out, and I'd say we exploit the hell out of that. So you get on the back here. If you do not add the key, put a limpet mine on there where the lock system should be for the door. Now, if you want to oversize your charge just a little bit to try to pop that door open, give it a shot. Get it on there, set your timer, let the timer be really short, say 2-3 seconds, or probably 3 seconds. Probably wouldn't go below that. So maybe you'll probably try setting it off using a fuse from a hand grenade. Pop it, set it off, blows that back door. Ideally, the door will open up, or you can then grab it and pull it open, and then the team then gets immediately in position at that door, puts fire inside, taking out anyone inside. And you do that on each vehicle at pretty much the exact same time. There's going to be some variations, obviously, but it should be almost simultaneous. Now, for this to work, this obviously is highly dangerous, and it needs to be coordinated down to the second, down to the half second. So you must have superb intelligence and knowledge of the enemy courses of action. You need to know how they're going to handle this type of situation. So maybe you'll set it up where you do something like this. You set off your early IED by mistake. You have the one machine gun, just one person there. He fires off rounds, gets them to start acting. He fires off, and then he bugs out of that area on a covered and concealed escape route. But the enemy's still pouring the rounds in down there. See what they do. Do they dismount? Do they try backing out? What do they do? Find out what their courses of action is going to be and counter it. Now, you need to make sure you give yourself sufficient time to get this position built, because this is going to take a long time to build something that's going to be able to take that massed amount of fires. Take that into consideration. You're probably going to have to use more people, especially when you're putting on that front cover. Now, you're going to have multiple means of communications between each element. By multiple means of communications, I'm talking audio and visual. You need to have some type of visual system set up that these guys will not notice, but these will. Telling them what they should do. Should they pull back? Not engage? When should they engage? In case they miss their cue for the people over here, they miss their cue to open fire. They need to be signaled, hey, open up, open up. And then these guys need to know when they have to move forward. You don't want them moving in too soon. But you also don't want them moving in too late. This needs to be really coordinated, really practiced out. Now, a big thing on this is rehearse, rehearse, rehearse. Do this time and time and time and time and time again till everyone can do this. Everyone that's going to be part of this ambush can do it in their sleep. Literally. We used to have a saying, during some of the missions that we did. You trained on it so often that you could do it in MOP 4 in a chemical environment while being sick and being chased by rabid hookers or prostitutes with gonorrhea syphilis. You need to be able to do this, accomplish the mission regardless of what's going on. You need to know exactly when you have to do something and how you need to do it. This is something that would be done by a very experienced group. People that have been working together for a while now. They know each other's moves, they know each other's timing, because everyone's a little bit different on their timing. Some people are faster than others. That's where it comes into rehearsals. You rehearse over and over and over again. Ideally, you do it on similar terrain with a similar setup. You may not have actual MRAPs you could do it on. Maybe you get a hold of, I don't know, a couple Volkswagen Beetles or a couple pickup trucks. You're using that as the simulation or whatever. You don't actually fire off the real rounds, but you're practicing. You're going through rehearsing it over and over again. Do the same distances for how far away the positions are going to be, the same timing, everything. It needs to be as close to the actual event as possible so that everything is just automatic. You go through, you take out the crews inside these weapons or inside these vehicles. You then go through and strip everything you can. Strip off the machine guns, get the spare barrels, tripods, cans of ammo, the loose belts, whatever's there. Grab it all. Get it out of there. And then go through, set fire to each vehicle. Maybe have some pre-made little thermite charges. Mix up some thermite, put it in some soda cans, have a rudimentary fuse on it. After you get everything out of there, you make a little pile of flammable stuff inside the vehicle. Up near the front, you toss in your homemade thermite grenade in there, make sure the thing ignites and starts burning the vehicle, and you get the hell out of there, and the vehicles, burn away. They're destroyed, completely unusable by the enemy. And you move off and get out of there. You need to do this as quickly as possible before the enemy had time to call for the QRF or before that QRF arrives. Now this tactic, you're not going to use it all the time, because if you do, the enemy's going to expect it and they're going to counter it. But this is just one additional way you can vary an ambush. This one I primarily mean for vehicles, not personnel. You're trying to take out that security patrol. You can take out the supply convoys easier. It's the security patrols you're going to have trouble with. That patrol of MRAPs, that patrol of Bradley fighting vehicles. Really with Bradleys or BMPs and M1s, I would not mess with them too much in this way. I'd rather take them out using an IED and anti-tank weapons. But using this against some type of armored vehicle like an armored personnel carrier or an MRAP, this would work better. So, just trying to remember quick. If I missed anything from my notes, I'm looking it over here quick. Nope, that looks like we covered everything I was going to. So, let's hear some comments. How could you change this up just a little bit? Now, for all my engineer brothers in the Patriot and Militia movements, always remember, essayons.